Good morning. Happy Monday. Nice to see everybody arriving here. I see a few familiar faces on this first page, and then, yeah, flipping through, I also see a few new ones. So hello, welcome. All righty. So if you are new to us today, my name is Shannon Elliott, and I am the manager of our support group leader program that we call In Sync here at PMD Alliance. I also have a few colleagues with me today. So I've got Rachel. If you could wave, Rachel, maybe they can see you. Good. And we've got Rebecca here. And then we also have Anissa. So thanks to them in advance as they're serving as backup for me today. We do have a lot that I would love to address today in our roundtable. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in right away. I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. Okay, hopefully we can get this working. All righty, so if I could have an auditory confirmation that you can see this, Rachel.
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Okay, so again, thank you all for joining us today for our support group leader COVID-19 roundtable. We have a special guest with us, Dr. Salima Brillman. So really looking forward to this new program that we're trying out today. So we are referring to this roundtable as a support group for support group leaders. So why are we here? We are finding that now is a really important time for us to come together and have the opportunity to share with one another what you are experiencing during this time, during the pandemic, the challenges that you might be encountering, as well as what your group members are going through right now. And so additionally, this roundtable can provide a venue for us to brainstorm ways that we can support each other as support group leaders and also better support those who are in our communities who may be really struggling with social isolation at this time. So we have been listening. Hopefully you received a survey recently that we conducted. We really wanted to put a finger on the pulse to see how support group leaders are doing right now, whether their groups have just stopped meeting during this time, if they've gone online, if they're using Zoom, what the obstacles, the barriers might be. And so we've really been listening to what's going on. And so we feel like this is a perfect time for us to come together and talk to each other and really see how we might be able to help those in our communities in a better way. So we, as I mentioned, we have our special guest, Dr. Salima Brillman, who is participating in our roundtable today. And for those who haven't been able to see her in one of our previous programs, she is a board certified neurologist with a fellowship in movement disorders. She has a concierge movement disorder practice that's based in Menlo Park, California. So I just want to thank her again. Thank you so much for being a part of our program today. We really appreciate you being a part of the InSync network family and just being willing to share your insights with us. So thank you so much.
I can hear you on the phone.
Okay. All righty. So collaboration agreement. So I've decided to include this in our program today. This is a more unique program in that it's really discussion-based, and it's where we want to have a lot of interaction. So we want to really set the stage so that we have the most productive session that we can have. So I've put together just a list of kind of agreements that we can all just talk about as we go into this so we understand the best ways to interact with one another. So we are asking that you go ahead and keep your mic muted, just in general to eliminate some of that background noise that might happen unexpectedly in your space. And then of course you have the ability to unmute yourself if you are wanting to speak to the group. This is just a reminder for us to really listen intently. So I know a lot of us, if we have our own ideas, we're really thinking about what we want to say. And so it's just really just a reminder. And this is something that you might encounter in your support groups as well as leaders, just really reminding the members to really listen deeply to each other. And so this one, yes and, I don't know if you've heard of this before. So this is just another suggestion on how to build on the ideas of other people as opposed to judging people and saying, no, that doesn't work and let's do it this way instead. It's just saying, okay, yes, and I have this idea that can build upon that. So it's just a more proactive, collaborative feeling there. So I've included this, keep an eye on the time. We'll see how many participants we have today. So we had over 50 sign up, which is awesome. It's a good problem to have, but because we have so many people, we want to have everybody contribute. We just really have to be cognizant of the time. And so I will be setting some time limits for us as we share. So just be prepared for that. And then finally, I just ask you to please be patient with technology. I'm going to be trying out a few new tools today, so being patient with that. You know, things are not perfect sometimes, and so glitches happen. So if you do happen to get kicked off of the meeting, please do just come back and sign in the way that you got here initially. So go ahead and re-click that link and join us. We're going to be doing a few new things, and so be patient with technology, but also with me as I experiment with these new things. Okay, so one thing that I'd also like to invite you to do, I don't know if you happen to have a pad of paper and a pen next to you, but you're welcome to take notes as we go through this session today. You can doodle, you can do whatever you'd like. Sometimes people are kinesthetic learners and they like to just really stay active and take notes. So just, I welcome you to do that. Alrighty, so here's one of our new tools. This is very exciting. We're going to be doing a poll today, and what I want to do is really just see who we have here on the call. And so I'm going to initiate this poll, and you will hopefully see this in just a moment here. The poll includes 3 questions, so go ahead and start to go through that poll, and I'll give you a few moments just to take your time doing that. And so you're going to be able to read each question, and then you can select your answer and scroll down to see the following 2 questions there. All right, so I see some of the responses coming in. So we really just want to see who is here and what are we bringing collectively to this roundtable and this discussion? What are we all going through? All right.
Submit this.
Let's see. Is there a question?
I have 2 questions here, and then I'm trying to press submit and it doesn't go.
There might be the 3rd question. I'm not quite sure.
Down.
Can you scroll down, Debbie?
I'm not able to. It doesn't want to do it.
So if you put your mouse over the poll window and then scroll.
I'm trying, it doesn't go.
Okay, well, if it doesn't work, there's no pressure. Again, this is just of us having grace for all of this, and we learn as we go. Thank you for attempting.
Mine doesn't submit either.
Yours doesn't. Okay, interesting.
Mine also does not.
It doesn't submit.
I'm in good company.
I do see that 25 people of 35 have submitted, so it might be something going on with your devices.
What I saw, Shannon, was that if you do not answer the 3rd question, which I originally did not answer, but there is a box there to say, yes, we're already online. Once I clicked that we're already online, then it did permit me to submit it.
I see. Thank you, Karen. So it looks like you have to actually answer all 3 of the questions for it to enable to be sent in.
I can't
So-
get down.
Yeah, Andrea has a good point. She said it might be your mouse or your trackpad situation. So I'm not sure how you normally scroll, but if I don't know if you're on a Mac and you use the two fingers or like the scroll mouse. If that doesn't work, if you put your
Here it goes, it goes, it
Oh,
goes.
good, good,
Yay!
We're all learning, aren't we? Excellent. So I've got 28 out of 36 who have submitted. I'm just gonna have about 10 more seconds for us to finish up. And then we
Okay.
can look at these results here. Okay, 31 out of 36. This is great. All right. Okay, so I'm going to be ending the poll now, and then we'll be able to see the results. So let's look at that together. Okay, so hopefully you can see this now. So it looks like a really high number of you, 74% of you have already taken your support group meetings online, which is fantastic. Some have not, some are in the process, and then a few of us are not group leaders, so that doesn't apply to us. So this is a good sign. We're trying to get through this pandemic and still meet with our groups any way that we can. All right, so the second question, if you've taken your meetings online, how are they going? So we have going well and going okay, or coming out about the same here, and then not going well at all. I'm glad to see that it's a lower number. I'd be interested to hear what those barriers are. And then again, some people haven't gone online yet. So the third question, if you've not gone to online meetings yet, what's the greatest barrier? So we have the technical issues, either for yourself or for your support group members, slightly higher here for your members than for you. So yes, you are here today on the Zoom call. So we know that you're able to get online, and that's a really good step in the right direction. So maybe we need to really focus on what the needs are of our support group members. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this.
Shannon,
Yes, hi Peter.
an interesting question might have been, I don't believe we'll entirely go back on land again. It would be better to serve people with half and half, or 75-25, and 75 being online.
Ah, interesting. So
But,
splitting your meetings from online to in-person?
well,
or
we used to do a meeting a month. Now we're doing 2 meetings a week, almost.
I see. Okay,
Yeah, we can get a little closer to people that way.
I see. Excellent. Well, when we break out in a moment, that would be a wonderful thing to
Sure.
share with your group, and then that can come back to all of us. So please hold on to that thought, and we will address that soon.
Great.
Thank you. Okay. So does everyone still see my PowerPoint here? How and why do we break out? Hopefully we are able to see that. Okay, so breakout rooms, I've just mentioned that. So this is one of our other tools that I'd like to work with today, because we have a large number of participants and we wouldn't all be able to talk. So what I'd like to do is initiate these breakout rooms. So what happens when we have smaller groups? There's more sharing and connection. Maybe you do this in your support group meetings yourselves. This is a really good way for people to interact with one another, especially those who are a little bit more shy and they don't want to speak out in front of the entire group. If you put them in smaller groups, they're a little bit more open to sharing. So Zoom, this platform here, there's an option to randomly select folks from the entire session and then put them into breakout rooms. So 4 to 5 people will be put together. It's a little bit like breakout room roulette. So you don't know who you're gonna see when you get into your room, which is a little exciting. And so that's what I'm going to do today, is this random selection. You're going to automatically be sent to your small group room. And once everyone arrives, what I'd like you to do as a group is designate a leader of your group. who will do the following things. So they're going to help facilitate the sharing in the group. So everyone's going to need a chance to talk, and so the leader will help conduct that. The leader should also be able to take notes of any common themes or significant insights that might come up within the group. And then once we come back to the larger group after the breakouts, they're going to report back and share to the larger group what you found, okay? So during the session, each person is going to share her or his experience in about 2 minutes. And this is where we have to really kind of keep track of the time. So I'm going to try to assist with that by while you're in your breakout rooms, I'll send you notifications and you'll see, okay, 2 minutes has passed, move on to the next person, move on to the next person, so that sort of thing. So just be aware of those announcements coming through. I'm going to have one question that I'll provide to you in just a moment, and that will also be in the chat. So you can refer back to these instructions as well as refer back to the question, so you don't have to remember everything in your head. So I would just ask that everyone locate on your own screen the chat box right now. So if you hover your mouse over your Zoom window at the bottom, and depending on what device, if you're on a computer, it's at the bottom. In the middle, you'll see a green button that says, or I'm sorry, it's not green, it's next to the share screen. So the chat is not green, my fault. You're going to click on chat, and then a chat window will show up probably on the right-hand side of your screen. And that is where you're going to see different messages coming in from other people, from me, and then you can also enter chat and questions in that box right there. So hopefully you can find that as I'm talking here. Okay, and also during the session, I may pop into your room randomly, so don't be alarmed if someone new pops in, and that would be me just checking you out. The groups, you'll have about 12 minutes total to share. And then you will get a 60-second warning before you're going to be brought back to the main group. So if anyone is wrapping up their sharing, then you'll be able to see the countdown, and then you're going to automatically be popped right back into the larger group at the end. Okay, and once we are back, the small group leaders will share back to the main group about 2 minutes each. So it's a lot of winnowing down of those ideas, really seeing where the common themes are or other significant insights, okay? So hopefully this is making sense, and we can have some fun with this. So what is the question? It's a fairly broad question. What has your experience been as a support group leader during COVID? And so as a lens, a way to think about this question, I'm just offering this. So you might think of positive things that have come out for you. Negative things, what's been a real obstacle for you. And then perhaps opportunities. So maybe something has like a silver lining, perhaps, something you didn't expect. So if you can start to think about what this might be, I'm just going to give you a moment to ponder, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. Okay, so I can see more of your faces now. Excellent. I see there's been some chatting here. Okay. All right, you'll let me know, Rachel, if I need to address anything, please. So what I'm going to do now is copy and paste the instructions on how to participate in the breakout room. So if you'll look in the chat, you'll find the instructions now, and you'll be able to see that even in your breakout room. And now I'm going to share the question. So you can also refer back to that. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see those. Excellent. All right, good, good, good. Okay, so how are we feeling? Are we ready to try this breakout room thing? Are we feeling brave? I have to get up my courage here. Okay, I am going to start to set up our breakout rooms, and then we can get going with this. So hopefully we will also have someone from each group who's very willing to serve as the leader and take notes. So you might want to have that pad of paper next to you so you can write them down. All right. Cool. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to do is begin sharing my screen again, and then we're going to go around to each of the leaders of it. We have 8 groups today, and so we're going to share back to the whole group, and I'm going to take notes in real time so that we can keep track of everything, and then we might be able to even see common themes happening amongst the various groups who didn't have a chance to talk to each other. So let me begin by sharing. All right. Actually, I need to, one moment, sorry about that. I need to escape, there we go. All right. Let's try that again. Okay, so hopefully you can see my PowerPoint screen. Not that, but this. All right, do you see common themes, significant insights at the top?
We do.
Yes. Okay, great. So when I'm sharing, unfortunately, I'm not able to see a lot of people's faces. So I'm going to have to call out each of the groups. And what we can do as we see, I have some categories here. The lens that we could have looked at to answer our question, what has your experience been like as a support group leader during COVID? So some things that might be positives, negatives, potential opportunities. And if something doesn't necessarily fall into that category, then I can take notes in the other category right here. So what I would like to do is begin with group 1. So Dr. Brillman's group, who was the leader for Dr. Brillman's group, please?
I was the leader. This is Millie.
Hi, Millie.
Yes. Hello, Shannon.
Okay, so I'm going to take notes as you speak. So you might think in reference to these categories,
Sure.
and then I can start to take notes here.
Okay, I'll start there in the positives where you are. So some of the positives were some of the group leaders had new members come on.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So they weren't sure where they came from, but we had new members came aboard. So that was a positive through the new online venue.
Okay.
And then also having guest speakers. And I think with more people being at home, sometimes it's been mentioned doctors are a little bit more available, and it's a little bit easier to have guest speakers to bring them on into the meetings.
Great.
Moving on to the negatives, there was definitely a decrease in participation as they went from, and everybody shared that same as being the most common, just a decrease in participation, difficulty with the technology, and people, despite being offered the opportunity of like one-on-one training, they just didn't respond to it, didn't follow through with going through the training and learning it. And then one of the biggest negatives was the lack of physical contact. So, you know, I come from it as a personal trainer for people with Parkinson's. So, but also the support group, just like giving a hug or, you know, just that physical contact is a big thing that unfortunately we can't do via Zoom.
Absolutely. That exchange of energy is
Right, right. So I think the opportunities part of it was just the guest speakers and new members from maybe that couldn't travel before. So kind of with the positives. The other, which I will add, which kind of came up, was making phone calls, you know, instead of just sending emails, but making that phone call to reach out if people don't connect with you via online. And one feature actually, I think someone said, oh, I can hear you on my phone. Zoom can be done by phone. So maybe we need to call a person and remind them, hey, you can just be on the phone and hear us. And that might be a way to get them to connect.
Great.
And I hope I summed it up well for the group. We had Dr. Brillman come in and join us, so that was nice.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. Surprise guest.
Yeah.
She accidentally got kicked out of the call. So she called back in, and then
Yeah.
I zoomed her over right to your small group. So I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Millie.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the second group, which is Larry Kellerman's group. I think he accidentally came back to my no man's land area a little bit early, but Larry, if you could unmute yourself and begin speaking.
I believe I'm unmuted.
Yes, I can hear you.
First of all, I want to apologize to the people in the group. I hit that button in the middle of the screen and left you, so I didn't mean to leave the other members of the group. There were 5 of us who were caregivers, 4 who were caregiving Parkinson's patients, and I was a former caregiver of a multiple system atrophy patient. We had one patient came on briefly. He dropped off and never came back on, but he had been a patient for 8 years and just introduced himself when he fell off. So those were the people who shared their experiences.
Was that Aziz by chance? Aziz from, was he calling from another country?
Yes, he was from India.
Okay.
He said he was in Karachi, I believe.
Okay, excellent. Yes, I had a little exchange with him. He had to leave, unfortunately.
Okay, but it was good to have him in. He had very good English, and other than it was the phone was shaking or the device was shaking, he was doing a good job. So if we can get him back on again, it'd be nice to hear that perspective, I think.
That's great. Thank you, Larry.
When you go to positives, the new members joined is one, we heard it's been good getting together through around the world. We had Lucinda and Charlene who are in Arizona and their snowbird friends and Parkinson's patients who've left to go back home for the summer can participate, whether in Canada or wherever they might be. So they found that as a real positive.
Nice.
Let's see, number of meetings. David brought up the fact that there can be more meetings. If you were driving 60 miles to get to a meeting and the meeting was once a month or once every 2 months, or in our case in Chicago, my meetings were every 3 months. Now we can do it every 2 weeks or weekly as the Alliance has allowed us to do, which I really like very much as well. And allowed for connecting with old friends. So people who seem to have maybe fallen off also make connections. I think you see that with, no, you don't see that up there. You just see guest speakers, but old friends came on.
Nice.
And then if you go to I guess the bad is really a positive, or maybe vice versa, but it doesn't take the place of the physical contact, which was number 3. David said that's the one thing that is really missed. You can do a lot with Zoom, talk, have a lot of conversation, but that social contact is really important. Another bad is, especially apparently in Arizona, but I think it's probably bad for a few of the people in my support group, is signal strength. The signal strength from the, I guess, the system that they're working doesn't allow for them to, or it breaks up. Charlene and Lucinda said it would break up, and at times they lose the person and have them back on. So that was a negative. As far as opportunity, David brought up a real good one that he saw. The regular group leader left on vacation. So when he did, another person stepped in, took over the leadership role, and did a very good job. And it went very well. So it allows people to, I guess, spread their wings, expand their horizons, or whatever the case might be, however you want to say that.
Great. Love that.
And for me, in my idea, from what I see as well, I have a lady whose father lives in Buffalo, New York, has been diagnosed with MSA. She lives in Chicago. She's the daughter, and she's got a sister in Pennsylvania, and they all want to join because they've found out about the support group. She's been on it 3 times, and the other family members want to join. So suddenly we're going to have a family who will join our group from around the country. So I think that wherever it fits, positive, I think is probably the best place for it to fit.
Excellent.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
Yes.
Wonderful little summary there. Moving on to group number 3. This is the group where Allie Thompson was participating. Who is the leader of Allie Thompson's group?
Oh, yeah, I guess I asked and nobody put their hand up, so I said, okay, I'll be the leader.
Okay, hi, Peter.
And so Ali and Debbie from Israel, and Ali's from New Mexico, and Arthur was from Camarillo up in California. And Arthur's a rare one. He just lost his wife who had the Parkinson's. He's continuing to operate the group. Our group was we had somebody who had such a robust environment. Debbie in Israel, they have everything going in all directions. They're flying. And then Arthur's having trouble getting people to come. He's in a much smaller. I know Camarillo, and it's a much smaller environment. So and he just lost his wife a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago. So he's at this end, and then Ali is kind of in the middle. They have a good, solid group. About 2/3 of the participants are coming here regularly once a month. We have a different thing altogether. I think at the beginning I told you, like a week now instead of once a month. I think that was one of the positives that I see, at least. It's one is to come to 2 meetings a week and because one of the other positives was the camaraderie factor. I think we're trying to cement that camaraderie, and I think we're doing a good job, because I think 2 meetings a week is tolerable. If it isn't, you just come to one. So, and the negatives, I think there are still some people out there that are not versed well in the technology, and I think that's been a factor. And let's see, opportunity as well is about the same. More meetings, and while at the beginning I said I don't believe we'll ever go back to the way it was before, I'm not surrendering the feel factor. I still like to hug people and make them feel better, and have that piece of the communication. But there's a lot to be said also for the intellectual part of what we do, socialization and the intellectual part. And so that can be achieved as well through the internet. I'm not staying in the boxes correctly here. There'll be less and less for the next group. I think I'm done, Shannon.
Thank you, Peter. Your audio was coming in and out a little bit, so I was struggling to hear some of the things you were saying. If I did not get any point that you feel like I need to include, please repeat now.
Well, just the real change. I think it's happened. I think we're going back to what we did.
The real change. So would that be like a negative or an other category?
Well, I see it as a positive.
It's a positive. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 meetings a week, 2 meetings of members a week, and I go to both of them, and I like that. It was
Very good. Excellent. Thank you so much, Peter. Appreciate that. Looks like I spelled camaraderie wrong. Maybe that's right. I need my spell check. Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to group 4, which included Dave Orlowski.
He's one of the guys I meet with.
Dave O, are you there, Dave O? Dave Orlowski?
Yeah, I guess I was the leader.
Are you? Okay, I thought you might have been, but. What'd you come up with?
We had a varied group. I was actually the only support group leader.
Oh.
We had a substitute leader, someone substituting today, and someone who's just looking for a support group today. And we had a pharmaceutical rep and Margie. So we had a good variety. It ranged from the positives is my group, we're meeting online successfully. We're probably capturing about 30% of our regular population. And but we're also picking up some new people because our meetings are being advertised on Facebook and Instagram. So we're picking up some new people. Another positive is Alan, his group is starting their first online meeting tomorrow. And so it'll be an experiment, I'm sure. It's always your first one is always, you know, trial and error at times and stuff, but he said they're basically prepared for it. So hoping it goes well for him. So they're starting that tomorrow. They're in Pennsylvania.
Good.
Wendy,
For Alan.
the reason Wendy came here today, she was looking for a support group. Her support group is not doing anything online, and she's in the Pasadena area, and she's gonna hopefully join our support group. And
Okay.
so that's a negative, I guess, a positive in one sense, and it's a negative in the sense that her group isn't doing anything online. It's too bad, but it's a positive that she's coming to ours.
Great, that's the new members join. Perfect. Love to hear that.
Joanna's a pharmaceutical rep, and she's been doing some, I guess this would be under positives and opportunities. She's been working with clients to help set up support group online sessions. So she's doing trying to organize some support group online.
Excellent.
And
okay.
I'm trying to see. So it was pretty cut and dry. The positives we have ours is doing online meetings. The negative is Wendy's is not doing online meetings, but it creates an opportunity for her to join our group. And and Joanna is doing a yeoman's job by trying to organize support groups.
Wonderful.
And that's basically it.
Thank you, Dave. Good summary there. We see already, I've been bolding some of the common themes amongst the groups, and this one especially, it's a bold and an underline, so we're getting that 3 times. So good. Thank you, Dave. Let's move on to our 5th group, Dean Daley. I think Dean was in that group. Isabel was also in that group.
Yep, actually. That's
Hi,
me.
Isabel.
Hey. So we jumped in. I think the positive things we already have on the list. We kind of agreed on some of those. Mostly was actually negative. It was really that John told us there had been 2 groups in his area. They started with Zoom meetings and they quit since they didn't have enough participation, and he didn't have any closer points to it. It also seems that a lot of people don't have the equipment and the access. Actually, I just came from a home visit. We tried to set something up. They don't have internet. It was one big thing. We had phone call versus, Zoom, where you see people, and believe that's a much better thing to see people, since most of the groups actually do some phone calls. That was my understanding. And then Kathy had a big issue with, herself teaching other people how to do it. And I'm the same. I only know a little bit something what my husband showed me, but I'm not a technical person. And really, if you are not a technical person yourself, it's very hard to explain to other people how to use the Zoom and internet. And I think there was one very interesting point with signing up to the meetings. I think a lot of people are a little bit resistant in signing up, since they have to give out all their informations and then they get the Zoom link. And I think if you are technical, not really good, it would be much better to have directly a link where you only click on and you open up a Zoom meeting. I think that was a very, very great suggestion, since we have many people that don't know if they have to do 2 steps, they are lost. And I think that's a great idea to have only, one email with one link where you have to click on, so people have the easiest access to the Zoom meetings.
Isabel, do you, are you referring to how to get onto a PMD Alliance program like this? Or are you talking about support groups happening online and how people access those?
All of them.
All of them.
All of
Okay. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, PMD Alliance is providing access to our Pro Zoom account for free so that support group leaders can use our account. And the access part is fairly simple. The support group leaders have to do the work and send out the Zoom link to their group members, but then really it's just a matter of them clicking on the meeting link. And so they don't have to enter private information like they would if they were coming onto a PMD Alliance program. So hopefully that's clarifying for you. But that's a good point, is that that barrier of one or two or three more steps in the process is really going to restrict a certain number of people. So I have that written here. I will.
Actually, Dean had a great idea. If groups give out a newsletter or something, really to describe the steps in a newsletter, really step by step for the members. Since, if they don't participate in the Zoom meetings, I guess most of the folks really read their newsletter, and it's great if you have a printout or something on the side. If you try to log in, I believe that makes it much easier. And Kathy also told us that she watched the PMD YouTube video, how to set the Zoom meetings up, and it was very fast and very hard for her to understand.
It was fast. Okay. We do have tutorials on YouTube on our support group leader webpage on our website. And so that could be what she's referring to. And people are always welcome to contact me if they have special questions, and we have the ability to provide some one-on-one support. So please do utilize us for that at this point. And we'll see what comes out of our brainstorming session today of different opportunities for us to help our community members in that technical fashion. So thanks for bringing that up, Isabel.
Yeah, I think
Were there anything
else? I hope I got all of our across here.
We can always add later if necessary. Thank you, Isabel. Okay, let's move on to group number 6, which was Lauren Simmons' group. Is Lauren Simmons?
Okay, yep, I gotcha. Yes. Yeah. One thing, a lot of similar themes as everyone's been talking about. One thing that was a positive and a negative was the technology. So the negative being that the people are having a really hard time learning Zoom or how to set up their groups. But on a positive, some people have learned it. So it's a new skill that they've learned and they've challenged themselves to learn it. So that kind of went in both categories. Another positive is new members and also being able to get speakers from other places. And we noted that the meetings that have speakers seem to go easier and better, and that the meetings that don't have speakers, that are more unstructured, sometimes are really difficult. Either nobody's saying anything and you have all these awkward silent times, or everyone's talking over each other and no one can hear a single thing. So we've got that. Another negative, we've had some groups fold or they're not meeting at all. Someone mentioned about newsletters. We had someone who's sending out, I think a couple of people sending out emails because they're not meeting online. So they're sending out emails, and one of our leaders learned to use MailChimp to send out newsletters or notices to all our people with, what's going on and what they can take advantage of during the week. As far as noticing what's going on with the people in their groups, notice an increase in symptoms. decrease in participation, increase in anxiety and distraught over COVID-related issues, financial issues, and things like that. A lot of isolation. And Allison, one of the farmer rep that was on with us, noted this, and I've seen it too, is there's too much Parkinson's stuff going on. Just getting Parkinson's out. You know, there's so many webinars, everything's Parkinson's. You need some fun. Like right now, there's not a lot of fun going on. So what can we do? You know, have games online or something social online, as opposed to all Parkinson's all the time, because it can just be overwhelming. I think that's kind of about it. One thing we thought of is for the people that are having trouble with the Zoom meetings, maybe they could have someone that knows Zoom well, kind of be their Zoom mentor and jump on with them for the first couple of meetings. I know I've done that for a group to help get them going and help them with tech challenges as they have their first meeting or two, and that might help.
Love that. Buddy system.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think that was about it.
Is that about it? Okay. We're getting a lot of things here. So great. Let's keep it coming. Thank you, Lauren. Group number 7 was Anissa's group. Who is the leader in that group, please? Anissa's group, Anissa Mitchell. Group number 8. That was the only name I wrote down.
Bonnie was our leader. Bonnie, are you still on there?
Hi, Bonnie. If you're there, you'll need to unmute yourself.
There I am.
There we are. Now I can hear you, and now I can see your picture.
It's an advantage being the last person, and you don't have to repeat what everybody already said. I think everything has been covered.
Okay.
We were a very mixed group also. The really neat one is Judy works with older people, and she has people in their 90s who are using Zoom. So there really is no excuse, and that shouldn't stop us from encouraging everyone to try to get on.
That's amazing.
We emphasize the idea of regular contact. Maybe we need to do more phone calling to people than we had done before, just to check in, how are you doing? Our group does that. And I will put in a plug, the Nashville group has met online and very successfully. I mean, we get a lot of people, of course, not all our people, but a lot of people. And then the only other thing that I feel like I want to add on to is just how we miss that other time. For me, the meeting is a really good part, but the before the meeting and after the meeting, just saying hi to people, and some of the things I've learned just from other people from seeing them, that's what we miss. But we won't be able to meet in person, I think, for a very long time. And the advantage is we'll still have some of the Zoom people meeting with us even when we meet in person. And I think that's about it. I don't think we had anything else that isn't already covered.
Thank you, Bonnie. That's a great point. The casual conversations that are happening before and after meetings, it's the connecting moments, right? And it seems maybe a little more stilted when we're on Zoom and we're separated and we're just little squares. So I totally get that. Thank you for adding that. We actually have one more group, and that would be Judy Reynolds and Karen St. Clair's group.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
So I'm the spokesperson for our group, and yeah, we had Deborah in California, Judy in Arizona, Roger in Indiana, myself in New Mexico, and Rachel in our group. And basically the same themes that we see up there. Everybody having some difficulty, a lot of people having some difficulty with Zoom and getting on the meetings, lower participation than what we've experienced in the past, which has been disappointing. And but some of the information to come out of our discussion groups with my group in New Mexico has been the grief and the depression, I think as a result of the isolation And to address that, we actually had a grief counselor at our meeting on Thursday to help talk folks through that and give them some coping strategies for that, the grief and the depression. The feelings of isolation, you know, our meetings have gone to about half the participation of what we used to have. And that's disappointing. We do, some of the positives are that, you know, we've gone to weekly meetings instead of monthly meetings. And we are able to make up different kinds of meetings for different topics or things like that because we have the availability to use Zoom. I totally get the Zoom overload thing, because some weeks I look at my calendar and it's like, oh my God, I got a meeting every day. You know, from you know, if I wanted to attend all of these. But we are, we also have a care partners group here in Santa Fe that meets monthly, and we're going to be starting a meditation and breathing group in August. So, so the ability of being able to use Zoom for these kinds of things is exciting. We knew after our first meeting probably that we were going to be meeting this way for the rest of the year because of the virus. I think everything else is pretty much on there. We have used speakers, and it seems that when we have a speaker, we have higher attendance. We've had, our highest attendance has been up to 38 on a Zoom meeting, when we typically have had around 50 in, you know, 30 to 50 in person.
Wow.
So, yeah. Other than that, I think everything's pretty much the same. I think the opportunities are that ability to be creative in using Zoom, because this is the way it's going to be for quite a while.
Absolutely. Some people have mentioned their interest in breakout rooms, so we can discuss what that might look like, and maybe we have the ability to create a little bit more connection, camaraderie through that, instead of the large group problem.
Shannon, can I just take 1 minute and remind people of the Alliance's raffle that's going on right now?
Absolutely. As I finish my notes here, please do.
Yeah, so the Inspire Me Fair raffle is going on right now on the PMD Alliance's website. If you go to pmdalliance.org, and we're trying to raise $5,000 for the Alliance, and you know, to help cover some of these expenses that they've incurred from using Zoom for all of us. And allowing us to continue to be able to do our support groups. So I would just encourage everyone to go to, Rachel just put the website up there, to go to the website. There's some great things on there, you know, to purchase tickets for. You don't really get a ticket because it's all online. And then if you don't want to, you know, I had someone who said they didn't need one more thing, but he wrote me a check. Anything to support the Alliance right now in helping us, you know, being able to, you know, continue to do our support groups. I just want to make sure, you know, that they get that financial support. So go to their website, check it out, and let's make sure we continue to do this. Thanks to the Alliance.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you for contributing one of your pieces of art to that raffle. So we have some really nice pieces of art, all different kinds of things, fabric, wood, even trips, things like that, condo stays, things like that. So please do check out that Inspire Me Fair raffle. So before I stop sharing my screen, I just wanted to ask if anybody wanted to put anything else that I missed before we go back to seeing everyone's faces, because I'm really missing that. All I see is one person at a time. So
Shannon?
Yes. Hi, Barbara.
Barbara. One thing I neglected to mention as a negative is the fact that in person, we have an information table and lots of things that I gather from different meetings, the national organizations, and we don't have that in the online. And getting sometimes brochures or whatever to people, sending them as attachments. I've been having a terrible time with Gmail. I'm recognized as a spammer and my messages keep getting bounced back. But I think that information table is something that we miss.
Ah, that's a very good point, isn't it? And there could be something that we can learn from one another as far as best practices, how to best utilize our email servers, things like that, because it does start to flag you if you're starting to send a bunch of things. And if you have more than, I think, 100 email addresses on your list, it's going to start to go to people's spam, things like that. So that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up, and we can address that in the future, absolutely. So this is great, right? We got a lot of really good information, saw the common themes happening across the country. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing so we can all see each other. And what I'd like to do now is actually have Dr. Brillman, hopefully she's still here and didn't get kicked off again. Dr. Brillman, if you could unmute yourself. And
Hi, I'm here.
Excellent, there you are. Now you're on my front page. So I just was hoping that you could, you know, after hearing what everyone is talking about, the different challenges they're facing, maybe respond and from your point of view as a movement disorder specialist and the patients you're working with, probably some in person, but maybe quite a few online as well through telehealth. Just anything that you would be able to just share insight about as far as what you see in the near future, COVID related.
Sure. So like many of you addressed, depression and anxiety is a huge thing. You know, this is really an uncertain time. It's evoked a lot of anxiety in a lot of people, of course, with and without Parkinson's. And isolation and depression is a huge, huge issue. And I think that in and of itself should be a reason why we want to have this platform. Like many of you touched upon, this isn't going to go away anytime soon, unfortunately. And it kind of looks like the way the numbers are looking, especially after, you know, July 4th weekend and whatnot, it looks like we're sort of taking a turn backwards. So not to be negative Nelly or anything, but that's just the realistic, that's realism. So I really think that instead of thinking, okay, well, we're just gonna, you know, hold out, we need to approach this and encourage other people to try to embrace this and really try to delve into what it is for the people that don't or can't get on, why it is that they can't. Are they, many of you touched upon it, if they don't have internet, that's one thing, we can't help that. But if they are afraid of it, if that's their barrier, maybe they could reach out to adult children that could potentially help them. Or you brought up buddies, that's another thing that is a really great idea. Phone calls is wonderful, but that isolation piece is a huge problem, as you all really recognize, that needs to be addressed and can really have negative impact on our mental health. So I encourage any ways in which to overcome that to do so. And then I think, you know, you brought up the ideas about splitting groups, and I really commend you all for the efforts of seeing each other more frequently. I think that's really a great idea. Maybe, you know, doing the first half of the alphabet 1 week and then the second half the second time. I know it brings a lot more for you all as support group leaders, but that might be another way to help out. I'm thinking of the fact that this kind of platform opens channels up, right? So not only will it just help them to be in the Parkinson's support group, but also maybe helping them see their grandchildren and their children that might be across the country, and that bring joy to them as well. So that might be another way to encourage them to adopt this platform, because again, travel is not just local travel, but national travel is going to be halted for quite a while as well. And we don't want worlds getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but this is a way to open it, and that might be another way to sort of encourage people to do that. Roger, you have a question? Oh, you're muted.
I heartily endorse that. Someone mentioned the grandchildren. Our grandchildren is beside themselves when they can look and see grandpa and grandma.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so, and also that's the other point, is that not only for the grandparent, but like you said, for the grandchild, it's so important. Kids are really having a tough time in this pandemic as well. They can't go to school. So any type of normalcy they can have is so incredibly important as well. And seeing grandma and grandpa really could help that as well. So that's something you could bring to your groups. Exercising, I personally can tell you that my patients who I've seen and have known for years, between the emotional piece and the lack of the exercise that they used to have, I'm seeing some deterioration in their motor, not only in their mental, but in their motor being as well. So this is really an important piece, that we can do this on Zoom. Maybe it's not the same, but it's something. And so I really try to encourage my patients to please, while not everyone wants to adopt it, but it's something. And so it's really important that we try. And it's daunting, and I get it. My mom is 84 and she lives with me, and she has a flip phone. So you know what? She can't do this either, but with my help, or if my brother's help, or guidance from PMD Alliance, I mean, we can get through this. The other piece is doctor's appointments. So as this continues to be an issue, people might have to start seeing their physicians online more than in person. And that's another thing. We don't want people not to go to the doctor and not to see their doctor. And this is another platform at which they can do that as well. Remembering better outcomes when a person's physical health and mental health is there. And so at the end of the day, we just want the best of what we can get for people with Parkinson's, both physically and mentally. And it takes a village. It really does. It's about your family. It's about you. It's about friends. It's about your support group. It's the whole thing. And we can do this still, but it's different, granted, but it can be done with some training, and just to sort of, not everyone is familiar with computers, but it's not as daunting as it has to be. And we're very lucky to have PMD Alliance, who will really help us and support us with that. So, questions?
If anyone has a question, you may unmute yourself, or you may type in the chat. We just have just a couple of minutes left.
Well, this is Dean Daley, PPSG. Thanks, Doctor. One of the issues I wanted to explore in the next newsletter was the issue of telehealth. Are you much involved in that? And it seems to me, telehealth, I mean, you just have a video in like an interview or something like that, but then you get into more interesting diagnostics. What's your experience with that? I guess by what you said, you are doing some examinations or interviews via Zoom or something like that.
That's correct. So, so certainly when the pandemic first started, I was seeing all of my patients via telehealth. Those who were comfortable. Some people were not comfortable off the get-go, and so I did phone appointments with them. But I basically can do my entire UPDRS or the whole Parkinson, examination, with the exception of feeling, their rigidity and doing the pull test. I can see them walk, I can do this, the whole thing, and still prescribe medications or make changes to their medications via my telehealth visit. So I just wanted things to be as normal as possible for them. And not have them wait months on end to see if this would quote blow over, because I don't believe it's going to blow over that quickly, if at all. I think there's going to be changes, and I think telehealth is going to be part of this for quite some time, at least in part.
Thanks, Doctor.
May I make a comment?
Yes, of course.
Along with the fact that we're doing telehealth, there's a whole line of diagnostic products that are going to be coming in the next 5 years. You're going to be able to self-diagnose certain things that you do in the office now where you need equipment. So we're not going back to the old way of doing health, I don't think.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part, Peter. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Yeah, I know. I happen to know from people. There's a whole whack of diagnostic tools coming. You see the $99 thing that measures your blood pressure, for instance. It's advertised on television now, but there's a whole bunch of other tools that are coming, which will make some of the physical things that you do get done right in the patient's presence. They can do them themselves because they may have the tool, or they may have a nurse that's going around circling in a certain area.
Yeah, I think that's right. So there's a lot of things that are going on that help to alleviate some of the need for the in-office visits,
Right.
and that will be on the patient, and that we can work together remotely. Right. That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just add that to it.
Yeah.
I'm talking to MIT this morning about something that's they're doing that's very interesting. And so that's an opportunity that came because I had Parkinson's. I wouldn't have had the opportunity otherwise.
Right.
But,
that's wonderful.
yeah, so.
Well, thank you so much.
Yep.
Dr.
Roger, you have a question? I'm sorry, do we have time for one more question?
Sure, let's
Roger?
This is related to my DBS. My neurologist is having me monitor my own battery so I can be aware when it's time to get the new neurotransmitter. And some people would be, you mean you're doing that yourself? Of course. And it's saving a 2-hour round trip, road trip.
Right.
We can help our neurologists.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
Silver lining there, Roger.
That's right.
Judy, is that a wave you want to say something?
I just have a question. You're probably going to say it in a minute anyway, but are we going to have access to that table?
Yes. So when I wrap up, let's address that. Thank you. Okay. So yes, thank you, Dr. Brillman. That was excellent. I love your metaphor of the village. We use that a lot. So now our village just looks a little different, and so now we're going to have to adapt. And so I just really love to have that as an image, a visual, that we have to create new connections, new kinds of connections in our new village. So I'm going to share my screen for one last slide so you can see my contact information. And let's see. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. And yes, so with the brainstorming session today, I just wanted to emphasize that this was more about moving forward and how it is that we can learn from each other to adapt to our new situation. So it's not like we were trying to come up with some definitive answers and this is the end all be all decision. So I want this to be an ongoing conversation. So perhaps this is going to be requiring a follow-up brainstorming session as well, and so we can move forward, because it does take a little bit of time for people to share. So I'm curious to see if people are interested in a part 2. And so then, yes, I just addressed that. So here is my contact information. It's my first name, Shannon, at pmdalliance.org. And if you have any ideas or feedback after today, please do contact me. And I just want to thank you all for participating. It shows me how many people are so involved, and just how caring you are for your own communities. So I really just want to acknowledge you and thank you for the work that you do. You're a lifeline for a lot of folks who would otherwise just be lost. So thank you all for being a part of this today. And I am looking forward to continuing the conversation, and hopefully you are as well. Please do let me know anything via email. And I believe that's how we'll wrap up today. The grid, the positives, negatives, opportunities, and other categories. I will reformat that in a better way and submit that all to you as a follow-up email, so you can have that, and then we can move forward with that next time. So we can all just keep, jar our brains and remember where we left off, and we can continue on. So again, thank you all for participating. Really appreciate it, and let's continue working for our communities. So thank you all. Thanks, Dr. Brillman. Have a lovely day. We have another program today at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So you're welcome to join us again, another Zoom meeting. All right, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much. Thanks for your participation.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye,
Roger.